Team Anna's entering the room. Here we go. Let's see if it connects properly. Oh, there I see.
Hi.
Hello, Representative Eskamani. How are you doing?
Hi, fam. Sorry I'm late. It's been a hectic Friday.
No worries. You're a busy person. You're doing stuff up at the Capitol. I get it. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to come on our podcast. This is the Usual Saints. I'm Mike D. I met you a few years ago. Don't know if you remember. You meet a lot of people.
I was with Spectrum, I think.
That's right. Correct.
Yeah, totally. Great to see you again.
Good to see you. I've moved away from news, so I'm not doing that, but I'm doing this. We got two of our other guys here. We got Jeremy and Vinnie.
Hi, guys.
How you doing?
Hello.
Good. Great to be here.
You are our inaugural guest. You're our first guest ever.
Oh.
Lots of pressure.
There you go.
That's an honor.
There's a t-shirt on the way.
Okay, I'm waiting for that. I'm holding you to it.
Vinny, now you got to send one down from Atlanta.
Yeah, I know. I think I got one in my drawer somewhere. I'll send it down there.
That's awesome.
So,
very cool.
I don't know. I mean, I talked to Cheyenne a little bit about the podcast. I mean, what we do is we just talk a little bit about, whatever is on our minds and whatnot. We don't really have a set thing. We're not like political. We're not pop culture. We're not movies, but we cover everything in one spot. So,
Right.
I knew you from the campaign. I knew how cool you were and how personally I agree with a lot of the stuff that you're doing. Maybe not everyone does, but so I was like, let's reach out to her, and I'm glad to have you. But I know we only have a short time with you, so I want to make sure we get some questions in, and to let you talk about whatever you have, because I know there's a lot of stuff you've been doing. I follow you on Facebook, so you got a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, we're super busy. That sounds awesome, and I probably I think around 11:30 I need to hop off, so we have some time. So yeah.
All right. Well, Vinny, I said I was going to let you go first. What you got for the representative?
Well, thank you from me for coming on to the podcast. We appreciate it. Do you want me to call you Representative Eskamani, or can I call you Anna? Or
you can call me Anna. Yeah.
Okay. Anna. Okay.
Thanks for asking me.
Well, you've earned your title, so I wanted to be respectful for that. I'm actually doing this from Georgia. I live in Atlanta, Georgia, and my rep is Lucy McBath.
Oh, wow. She's a rock star.
Yeah. Do you know her? Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you? Yeah. But what I wanted to ask, and just real quickly, since COVID-19 is the big thing, of course, everybody's worried about it. I was wondering, as far as the state of Florida is concerned, because I looked at the numbers and I see that they're going up again, as is everybody's really. But I was wondering if there was any chance of a mandate coming out for masks and that type of thing, because the protocol is there, but a lot of people aren't paying attention to it. So I was wondering what your thoughts were as far as getting it mandated and, really enforcing it. We just talked about this the other night about, enforcing these mandates if they come out.
Great question. A great question, Vinny. I mean, we have been pushing for a statewide mask mandate since the very beginning of this pandemic, and our governor has just completely dismissed the concept. It's ironic because he said it was a local government decision, but then he also preempted local governments from enforcing these mandates. So the way things stand in Florida now is local governments can put into place mask requirements, but they actually can't enforce them because the governor took away their ability to do that. So at this point, Florida really doesn't have a mask mandate. I mean, we've been pushing to model the best behavior. I really encourage the business community to step up and, implement within their doors these protocols, because at that point, at least it can be both a cultural change effort to say wearing a mask is the right thing to do, but of course, accountability within the private sector. Right. But it's been a challenge. The governor has been anti-science from the beginning, and he gets it from former President Trump, which I love to be able to say.
Yes.
But that's where we are right now, and so it's really unfortunate because even in the legislature, so we're back in committee weeks, right? We have mask requirements for all the members to follow, and we have testing that we're taking the week before session starts. Every single week, there's been new legislative colleagues with COVID. And most recently, there was some tension because two lawmakers, both in the Leon County delegation. So they're both like, representing parts of the Panhandle.
Right.
One got COVID first, the other got it shortly after, and they were together in a delegation meeting, and he wasn't wearing his mask, and she was, and she was sitting next to him, and so she's almost certain that's where it came from. And so again, it's like we have all this science now, we have all these resources, and folks just won't follow the rules. I think if I get COVID, it's going to be less like in the district and more in the building in Tallahassee, because folks are not being responsible.
Yeah, I don't understand why people don't wear the mask. I mean, it's like you're drowning and somebody throws you a life preserver and you don't use it. I mean, to me, it's just common sense. I mean, even if you don't fully believe in wearing the mask, do it for other people. You know what I mean?
Right.
But thank you for that. And how do you feel about Joe Biden so far? Are you excited about the things that he's doing?
Oh yeah, I love that question. It's funny. I'm so overwhelmed with just like Florida stuff that I try to read NPR at night or turn on the news at night so I can kind of see like what's coming out of the administration, because I've just been catching pieces of it. I think his executive orders were spot on. A lot of his work is just reversing things that have been going down the wrong direction. And so I really, really appreciated, the reversals on things like DACA, on extending the eviction protection order for those affected by COVID-19, LGBTQ plus rights. I really think the relief package that he is rolling out is smart. I mean, it not only includes immediate relief, but includes systematic economic changes, like increasing minimum wage for everyone, eliminating the sub wage, which has disproportionately applied to the disability community, which is messed up. I mean, it's basically we've given ourselves permission to pay folks with disabilities less for their work, and that's inappropriate. So I think there's a lot of good parts of this package. Obviously, larger questions remain around healthcare access. Like, what are we going to do to make sure every person has access to healthcare in this country?
Absolutely.
And his international approach, obviously it's been only a week or so in, but he is reigniting the energy accords, for the Paris Accords for climate change. He is reconnecting with NATO. And I thought it was really cool. There was a video his administration did that showed the conversation he had with NATO leaders. And it was really interesting because it kind of opened up international politics to everyday people. And I do think that there's a knowledge gap for Americans, right? To what's happening around. And I studied international relations when I was at UCF. So my academic background early on was more geopolitics and kind of looking at the U.S. role, around the world, which has really not been the best. And so allowing for more public engagement in foreign relations, I think it's going to be really interesting to see how that unfolds.
That's great. Well, those are my couple of questions since we're short on time. So I want to pass it on to Jeremy. Jeremy?
Hi. So I don't always agree with everyone else on politics, but we found one topic we agreed on, which I think a lot of people in the country might agree on, and that is term limits for representatives and senators and whatnot. And I was just curious because it'd be voting to limit your own career for most of those people. So what do you see as one, do you support them? And two, if you do, how do you see getting there when people have to vote I'm not going to vote to lose my job. So how do we get there?
Yeah, that's a great question, Vinnie. So we actually do have term limits in Florida. So I have a term limit of 8 years in the state legislature. So do senators. Of course, you can serve those 8 years and then, run for something else, right? And it's an interesting dynamic when we talk about term limits and length of stay. Because I will say in Tallahassee, when term limits got put into place, yes, we were able to see the removal of lawmakers, like no matter what incumbency power they had, right? But at the same time, it has given more influence to lobbyists, because what ended up happening is that lobbyists have so much more influence and institutional knowledge compared to lawmakers. And so we do see this disparity where the special interests have almost conquered the process in Tallahassee, because as soon as a lawmaker gets their feet wet, they're out. Now, to that point, I feel like I'm at an advantage because I've been following the legislative process for a long time. When I got to Tallahassee, my feet were my feet were already wet, and so I was able to kind of hit the ground running. And I feel confident that in 8 years, if I even stay that long, there'll be good work to be done. So I think term limits are smart because when we look at any type of nonprofit board, for example, there's always term limits. And the point of it is that it allows new blood to come in, fresh perspectives. But at the same time, if you have the same CEO that's there for like 20 odd years, that CEO can wield a lot of influence over new board members. So I think there is a balance to ask ourselves, how many years is enough? There has been some conversation among lawmakers of two things. One is that the part-time legislature that we have is not enough to actually get the job done. We're only in Tallahassee for about 3 months of the year, and we only have 60 days to pass a budget. And so there has been a lot of debate around, is that enough time? And then the other side of that coin is, have term limits helped or hindered us? And so again, I think term limits are smart. There is a well-meaning debate around, is it 8 years or is it 12 years, right? Like what would be or is it 10 years or is it less? Like what is that, what's the happy number, I guess, that everyone can kind of agree doesn't give lobbyists too much influence, but it also allows for there to be fresh blood coming into the legislature. In my case, in my race, we were going to go up against an incumbent. That was like, everything we were planning was to go against an incumbent, flip a seat. And then he decided to run for Congress, so the seat became empty as we were about to file. I think he knew we were coming, so he, left to go run for something else. But I have always supported term limits and think that it's smart for us to create space for new people. And you look at Congress and the U.S. Senate. I mean, people are like dinosaurs, right? Like, and they don't, they don't reflect the everyday people, and they do have way too much power in being influenced by special interest. And so it's just wild to me, you look at Washington and it's like, you don't see yourself there. It's changing, but you really don't see yourself there from a generational perspective because of the folks who've just been there for so freaking long.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Particularly,
Mike, I'll let you ask a question just so we don't run out of time before you get to ask something.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, I do have a question, but I mean, just to touch on the race thing, I mean, running for House, especially, I mean, even in the state or the United States, doesn't matter, every 2 years. I mean, basically, as soon as you get elected, you have to start prepping another run. I mean, that's crazy to me. I don't know.
Exhausting. Yeah. And if you're someone like me, like, so I don't take money from corporations, right? Like, and so, and I've actually become even more strict about that value over time, which is really interesting because in most cases, when you get elected, then you see that lawmakers start like banking in on being an incumbent. And for me, I've actually rejected more money than accepted in my second term, which I'm really proud of. But it does create challenges because every time I say no to a corporate donor, it puts a target on my back, right? Because now they hate me for it.
Absolutely.
And two, I got to find that money somewhere else. And so the second you win, like you are back on the campaign trail. And right now I'm actually in the process of trying to update some of my fundraising like tools. Like we have a political committee that's complementary to the work that we raise in my campaign account, but because of redistricting and honestly, I don't know what I'm running for yet in 2022. There's like a lot of chatter about what folks are encouraging me to do and that kind of stuff. And so I'm going to start raising money into my political committee. But I got to get all that set up. And, I don't have like the consultants doing it. Like it's a bunch of scrappy volunteers, so it just takes like extra time to get it done. And it's exhausting, like literally, in my head, like in addition to like responding to the flood of emails we have about unemployment issues and getting all my bills filed for session and my day job on top of it, I'm thinking about raising money next week and, who am I going to reach out to and what are those conversations going to look like? And so yeah, it's quite draining. But it's democracy. And, I knew what I was getting myself into when I committed to do this work. So I don't complain about it, but yeah, it's overwhelming for sure. Especially when you want to do it the right way.
Right.
Well, you definitely seem passionate about it. That's for sure.
Thank
and then
you.
that's what you need, in
Absolutely.
politics is somebody with passion rather than deep pockets.
And I wasn't going to touch on that thing you kind of hinted at. until the end. But I mean, have you given any serious thought to a gubernatorial run in 2022? I know you got to think about your term right now. That's what you're focused on. But
right.
there.
Wow, Mike, it's funny. I think I'm out of time now.
Oh, look at the time. Darn.
Listen,
Did not expect Mike to be the one to run her off. All right.
We can skip that for now if you're
no,
not sure.
No, we can talk about it. We should totally talk about it. So, yes, I mean, there's been all of this incredible grassroots energy about me running for governor. And I say that because it's not coming from lobbyists. It's not coming from even reporters. It's not coming from consultants that are like planting my name in places. Like it's literally from the grassroots up. And it was so funny. There's been a few different like blogs written about, you know, who can run statewide, and a few of them like omit my name, and it's totally on purpose. And then I get called out for it by grassroots people who are like, oh, why isn't Anna on your list? You know, because the influencers, they don't want me anywhere near that, right? Because if we were to do that, we would be pissing off Democrats and Republicans in the establishment, because corporate money is not a red versus blue issue. Like there is way too much corporate money in politics, and Democrats are guilty of consenting to that and accepting that, just like the Republican Party is. And we would be the contrast to say that ain't right, and to really like build that grassroots energy around a government for the people, by the people, elected to serve the people. And so I am seriously considering it, because that would be a game changer. And I don't see any other candidate who does that, and who does that with grit and with grace and with empathy, and who can actually work across the aisle. Like one of the most conservative Republicans just co-sponsored one of my bills. You know what I mean? Like we do have those moments. And even in my district here in Orlando, we won 2 precincts that voted for President Trump. 2 precincts that said, we're voting for Trump, also voted for me, you know, this little brown girl. And so I think that's really cool. And it speaks to like our people-centered work. And to your point, Mike, like, this coming weekend, we're actually hosting a community canvas for our district. It's not political. We're not talking about voting. We're going to be going to people's doors, leaving them information about our legislative office. We don't care what your party is. We just want you to know that we're here for you. And I think more and more people are hungry for just authenticity. And they're hungry for someone who is just listening to them and cares about them. And we had someone really angry, like call our office as an example. And I won't go into the issues of what they were angry about, but they called our office, they're really pissed. And, you know, I spoke to him this morning where we might be filing a bill that he suggested to us. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's also those moments of just like, embrace the tension. Let's talk about it. Treat everyone with kindness. Mr. Rogers is an honorary. He's an honorary constituent because he went to school at Rollins College, which is in my district. So I always just think about, you know, this mentality of like, all boats rise together. We need, you know, when my neighbors are doing better, I'm also doing better, because we all are within this ecosystem together. And so you have to be able to build a multi-class, multiracial, and multi-generational movement to do good work in Florida. And we're doing that. So imagine that amplified, you know, to something statewide. So we're thinking big, we're dreaming big, but I'm also not naive, and I don't want to hit and miss. I really want to make sure that whatever we do is thoughtful to the people of Florida, and it's building infrastructure long-term for our work. I don't want to make this jump and disappoint people and you know, not be able to deliver what we need to deliver to actually win. So we're going through all that right now, and we'll definitely keep the world posted.
All right. Well, that sounds great. I think, judging by your timeline, I think we're out of time. So, but I really enjoyed the conversation. I hope if you have anything you want to promote or anything in the future, you feel free to reach out. You guys,
yes,
we'd love to have you on.
Absolutely.
Even if you just wanted to, you know, just talk about whatever we talk about, that's fine too.
I love it. I love it. Well, thanks for the invitation. This was super fun, and I would love to come back anytime. And of course, if your listeners need me or have questions, you can always just reach out. We're at anna@annaforflorida.com. Just drop us an email, and we'll definitely be there to help and hear what you got to say.
That sounds great. Thank you, Anna.
Thanks, y'all.
Appreciate it.
See you soon.
Take
Bye.
care.